All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? Back with my guy Gyiraszin. Our Wednesday shows for the next 4 weeks of the regular season are going to be an hour earlier. Gyiraszin has some bowling. He's got to dust some people up on the old lanes over there. So in order for him to get there in time, we're bumping the MLB shows up an hour for the next 4 weeks until obviously playoffs rolls around. Gyiraszin, wild night of baseball last night. Wild early slate so far. I mean, Mitchell Parker was throwing a gem against the chalk Marlins. If that tells you anything, hey, maybe bad teams as chalk are probably not a good idea to play. But I'll bring you in, man. We got guys getting ejected. We got free money Freeland getting tossed. I mean, we got 50% owned players getting ejected. A whole whirlwind of stuff going on last night in the baseball streets. How you doing, man? Happy Wednesday. Bring you in. What's up, brother?
Yeah, hey, the bowling season's starting, football season. We're getting into the fall time. But, up here in Michigan, you either bowl or you play cards or cornhole indoors. You don't do too much else. But, yeah, so going to be at 3. Appreciate everybody working that out for me. But, hey, we're getting a good time of year. My favorite time of the year. It's great hoodies, shorts weather. It's good time to golf, especially up north. The trees start turning colors. You got football starting. You got, of course, you got the other 2 sports, NBA, NHL around the corner. You got playoff baseball. But, I mean, last night, too, what the kind of shit. I was, of course, on the Giants, and I've been doing this a long time, and you'll see a lot of crazy shit as long as you play baseball. Baseball, I mean, just weirdest things happen. And sitting there watching, I wasn't watching the game, but I was watching my app, and it said like a delay in the game, and all of a sudden Freeland gets tossed, and I'm like, oh, it must have been arguing with the umpire. And then I see, Mac Chapman's, or Adames. It was Adames first. And I'm like, dude, that son of a bitch. It was his birthday. That fucker's got some ass lined up in the hotel he's got to get back to, Nades, or something. He's got the limo with the chicks in or something going on. It's his damn birthday. I was thinking, okay. I'd be the first one to get thrown out of work if it was my birthday. And I'd be like, shit, I get off early. So I was like, man, this is bullshit. And then I saw Chapman got thrown out. And then I was like, all right, what happened? So I go back and look, and I saw the Devers moonshot, and quit being a pussy, Freeland. Like, seriously? Like, how many times you been giving up bombs? You suck, bro. Who cares if someone said, quit being a softy? Like, dude. But, I mean, it's just kind of funny. And then I'm watching a little bit of some Astros highlights, and they show Alvarez after he gives up the grand slam, the Grisham, when the catcher basically tells him to back off the mound. He gives up the home run pitch, and then he crosses him up, and that's not possible in these days. They have literally the headphones. They hear what the pitch is. So the dude calls for a breaking ball, and he zings one and nails him in the chest. So I was like, you don't ever see that either in baseball. You never see a catcher get crossed up and literally get beamed in the chest with the ball. I was like, dude, like, Alvarez, you're a dick. But, I mean, hey, I got lucky. I cashed. I basically broke even. I got lucky. I only had one of the 2 on one of my 2 teams. I had the 2 that got ejected on my other team. But, I mean, hey, still a fun night. Great time of the year. I mean, it just, to me, my mood brightens up. Most people get all excited to start of summer. Hell no, this is fun for me because it's gambling time. Let's go, Nades. We're going to have some fun. Baseball is here. We still got some baseball. And, man, what a great time of year. I can't wait.
Yeah, fun time of the year. I wish it was I wish this pitching slate was as fun as the time of the year because, man, this pitching slate feels like every time we get on is ass cheeks. I mean, you got George Kirby is the most expensive guy in the best hitting environment on the slate with a limited ceiling already from his strikeout upside. So, yeah, we'll do our best to break it all down. You got Robbie Ray Chalk in Coors Field. I mean, that never seems fun, especially anytime, like I talked about, anytime a lefty is going into Coors Field to face a righty or a Rockies team that is going to throw 9 righties at you. that's a little worrisome, especially when it's Robbie Ray. The old Venn diagram, right? Robbie Ray chalk. Yes. Okay. Don't play him. No. Okay. Play him. Kind of thing. But we'll do our best to break it all down here. Coors Field, again, obviously on the slate here. Smaller slate than yesterday. You're going to see even higher ownership on the Giants. You filter by ownership. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys next to Bobby Witt and Salvi Perez. As the highest owned dude's going to be all over 30% again, 50% in single entry. We'll do our best to break it all down there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. Gyiraszin, let's jump right into the pitcher slate. We'll go 8K and above. There is some arms up here to talk about. There's some arms that I'm not going to talk about much, but hey, we've seen crazier shit happen. We see Mitchell Parker come out throwing a gem against the Marlins on the early slate. So, hey, I'm not throwing anybody at this point of the year off the table. We saw last night the pitching got kind of dismantled all over. Framber got lit up again. I mean, all these guys just absolutely got tattooed. Kirby at the top, Robbie Ray, both going to command ownership. Ray's going to be probably the highest owned pitcher on the slate, him and Bergert, which we'll talk about later. But above 8K, it's going to be Robbie Ray, then Zebby Matthews, and then probably George Kirby. But you got Will Warren up there at 8K flat, and then Jason Alexander, Cade Horton. I don't have much interest in for those guys, but talk about this top tier. We got some decent plays up here, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, what do we got? 6 dudes above 8K. I mean, we can start with Robbie Ray. I mean, to me, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I just love it. I mean, obviously, we're out there in Coors. You look at what Robbie Ray's been doing here in recent times. I mean, he's got a higher fly ball percentage than I would like to see here against some of these guys. I mean, he's got a 37.4 fly ball percentage rate to lefties, and he's almost at 32% to righties. So, I mean, his strikeout percentage is below MLB average to lefties. He's 25.5% to righties. I mean, I'm just a little concerned. He's been getting barreled up a little bit. I mean, I don't think this is the place for Robbie Ray. I mean, they do have some pretty good righties over there in Colorado. Goodman, Beck, Doyle. I mean, all those guys have pretty good WOBAs. I mean, I'm not saying I like Colorado as a full stack. I'm just poking holes in the Robbie Ray. So I think, I mean, I'd let everybody else play Robbie Ray. And for me, I'd bail off Robbie Ray completely, especially if you think he's going to get some ownership. But as far as Kirby goes, I mean, Kirby's obviously probably the best. He's obviously the best pitcher on the slate. He's 9,500. I don't think he's overpriced really where he's at. I mean, he's a little bit above strikeout pitcher here. I mean, you got a team that I generally don't like to fool with in Tampa, and then I don't really like the stadium. So those are the 2 X marks, that you look at the flags, so to speak, against Kirby. But if Kirby isn't going to be owned, it was kind of like the situation yesterday that we had. I think then I'm going to like Kirby a little bit more, even though I think he's the best pitcher, but I just don't like his true upside here. So again, now we're looking at a slate like we had yesterday, where I don't think pitching is going to be the determining factor in, if you win or lose. I think you just got to watch out for the landmines and basically build your team. And then I'd kind of go with your pitching kind of last and figure out what you got. But I'm not interested in Alexander or Horton. I think Zebby Matthews is interesting. I actually think Zebby Matthews probably come in higher owned probably than Robbie Ray, I think, especially on FanDuel. I think he might be a little higher owned. But, I mean, Matthews gets the White Sox. The White Sox have been the dark horse sleeper here in the last month. I mean, they've been winning some tournaments here, so especially yesterday. So, I'm not sure I'm really all that enamored with Zebby Matthews, but I can see why people are going to go with him. He's got a 27% K rate. He's got the strikeout ability. I mean, he's got the leash that you want. I think he's one of the pitchers here that does have some upside that I do like. So I think Zebby Matthews would be a guy that I definitely keep in the pool. I think Will Warren's another one that I don't mind. I mean, he's definitely got some strikeout ability. He's got almost a 31% strikeout rate to righties. Houston's got a bunch of righties. So, I mean, I don't mind it. I just don't love it just because the Houston bats, I mean, they just don't have too many strikeouts. I mean, they only have 2 guys that are over 9 or 20%. So even though Warren, as I mentioned, does have quite a few Ks racked up there to righties, I'm just not so sure about it just because of the matchup with the Astros. So Warren is one here that does worry me. So I guess if I'm looking at the top, I think I go, man, above 8K. I think I'm going probably Matthews first, Kirby, then Ray.
Yeah, no, I have it ranked up at the top. I actually have it Will Warren, Zebby, Kirby, and then Horton is kind of my fourth guy in there. I just like what I've seen from Horton. I know his pitch count isn't great, but I don't think this Braves offense is very good either. About a 22% K rate over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching. You look at Cade Horton the last 30 days, 28% K rate, 6% walk rate, limits hard power. He does allow some fly balls there, but again, the weather should be pitcher friendly here tonight in Wrigley. You got some wind kind of blowing across, temperatures in the 60s there, so it's not the great weather. He's kind of my low owned pivot in the top tier. We've seen high performances from Cade Horton. He's been pitching pretty good as of late. His pitch count, like I said, should be in that 70 to 80 range, which isn't ideal, but on a slate where I just don't think pitching is that good in general, I'll take a stab on him, but he's a distant fourth option compared to the Will Warren, Zebby, Kirby metrics there. Let's jump below 8K. I think this is where the most conversation is going to be had. Got to talk about Berger. You got to talk about Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola making 3 starts off the IL. Now gets this Brewers team in Milwaukee here. He's just 7,700. That's a sticker shock price there. You got Jeffrey Springs, who I think is a decent play, and then Liberatore. Everybody else below there is not going to get played much. Any interest in guys like Gomez, Quintana, any Elder for you, anything like that? Break down below 8K.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of really anybody. I mean, I think the lowest I'd go is probably Bergert, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't go any lower than him. Everybody else to me is not even worth the play. But Bergert, I think, is going to be another guy that's going to be fairly chalky. I mean, he gets a pretty good matchup here with the Angels that we know we've picked on before, especially with decent, right-handed strikeout arms. The only problem is Bergert's a little bit reverse splitsy with his strikeout ability. I mean, he's at 24.5% against lefties. He's only at 20% against righties. But excuse me, you look at the Ks that the Angels have: 25% from Neto, 25, almost 26 from Makata, almost 30% from Trout, 27 from Adele, 33, 38, 36, 31. I mean, the only one, Rengifo, is the only one below 20%. So there's definitely some strikeouts to be had there for Bergert, even though he is a little bit below the average to the righty. So I think at his price, 7,500, he's definitely worth the risk for me. He's definitely worth what I'm looking for. So I think Bergert's definitely in play. He does give up a lot of fly balls. I mean, we do know that the Angels have some power. So, he gives up 1 or 2 solo shots, gives a shit. I mean, I can live with it. So he doesn't, he doesn't walk too many guys. I'd say he's a little bit about average with walking guys. So, I mean, it's not like I'm worried about a guy who's, got control issues, whatever else. So I think Bergert for me is a guy that, Bergert and Zebby Matthews, I think, are 2 guys that probably, if you're looking for some bats to play for some Giants, I think that's going to be more likely the scenario. And I like your Will Warren or Horton pivot off that. I think those 2 are going to be the 2 guys that are probably going to get the most ownership. But Aaron Nola, I think, is interesting against Milwaukee. I mean, Aaron Nola pretty much at this point in his career after he's come back, I mean, his ground ball rates are pretty high. He's 56% to the right side, 36% or so to the left side. So, I mean, he's been giving up quite a few ground balls, a little bit more fly balls to the left side. But, man, this Brewers team hits the ball into the ground. I mean, that's what they do. You got a ground ball pitcher, the ground ball team, we're going to get a bunch of ground balls. So, Babbitt will come into play at that point in time. So if Nola gets a little lucky, he could have a really good start, maybe throw 4 or 5 Ks in there, get you a quality start. I think he's going to have a little longer leash. So I'd be willing to look at somebody like Nola, where in the past I wouldn't even have thought about him. But I don't think it's too bad. I mean, I think you could go there. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, you got Matthews, Warren, and Nola all pretty close to the same price. So, if you wanted to get a little different, I think Matthews will have the higher ownership. So at that point, I think Warren and Nola are the 2 pivots at that point. But I think Bergert's going to get a little bit more ownership than I think. And I'm not sure, but if I was to really guess, Nades, I'm thinking really the the chalky pairing, I think, is going to be Bergert and Matthews, just because people are going to want the Giants bats today. Marquez sucks, man. So I think that's where I think that's where the optos are going to take you to. So I think those two, I like Matthews upside, as I said, with the strikeout. So I think that's what we're sitting at. I mean, I think there's a handful of guys you can play. I don't love anybody. So I'm going to look in the lower tier. If I was playing on DK today, I'd probably maybe go Warren and Matthews, maybe Warren and Bergert. If you wanted to go that route, I think that would be the route maybe to possibly go by using somebody like Warren. So, I don't mind. I just don't love Will Warren's matchup against Houston, but he does have the strikeout capability there. So, if we can get 6-7 Ks out of him, what's his K prop?
Warren's got 4.5 K prop, heavy juice to the over. So it's right in line with Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's K prop 5.5 juice to the under. Zebby 5.5 juice to the under. You got Will Warren 4.5 minus 168 on the over. You got George Kirby 5.5 juice to the under. You got Aaron Nola 4.5 heavy juice to the over. Minus 165 on the over there. So he's right in line with the rest. I'll break down kind of my additional take here. I do want to go like this and just add one more guy in the pool here to talk about. Let me just go filter this and click my boy Gomez's name here. All right. So for me, I think Aaron Nola is interesting. Good K prop here. The Brewers are a good offense. Aaron Nola, his strikeouts just have not been there since coming back against the left side. He's good against the righties. The thing is, Brewers also have not been striking out the last month. So this is the tale of two tapes here. I'd be interested to see and watch Nola's projected ownership, because as you can see here, when I filter by projected score with this kind of pool here, you see Aaron Nola is hitting projections as the number 2 pitcher right now after moving some of these other guys. Obviously, I took out Robbie Ray, things like that. So that's going to make a difference. But Nola's still one of the highest projected pitchers on the slate. Why does that matter at this point of the season? The people playing MLB DFS left right now, leading up to NFL. It might be some early comers for NFL getting anxious, right? Load up their old DraftKings lobby and see these contests. But a lot of it is K-prop driven and projection driven. So if Nola's popping in projections, I'm worried about that. The reason being I'm worried about that is I think he's the guy that people pivot off of a guy like Bergert with, or pair them together because they're uneasy about Will Warren in that matchup. They're worried about Zebby Matthews playing the White Sox in that chalk and how the White Sox have been hitting the ball as of late. And then the rest of the pitching slate is pretty damn gross. So I can see Aaron Nola, especially name recognition alone. His pitch count is right up there with George Kirby is the best on the slate. Potential there. The issue I have is you look at the Brewers the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, a 17.5 K rate, and that's heavily inflated by Bryce Terang, which I don't care if Bryce Terang strikes out 3 times. It's pretty likely that he's going to hit a home run against the righty here, the way he's hitting the ball right now. So a low strikeout team with a team that will steal bases and cause issues, that's the slight issue I have with Aaron Nola. But due to the nature of the slate and the price point, it's hard to ignore there. Bergert's my favorite pitcher on the slate at his price point. I don't care about how owned he is or not. I just like what I've seen from him since coming over to KC. He gets the best strikeout matchup in the league. The Angels bleed strikeouts to right-handed pitching. So give me Bergert is my favorite option. I put him in the same category with guys like Zebby, Will Warren, and Kirby. So those are kind of my 4 favorite guys. I don't mind taking a stab at a guy like Jeffrey Springs here at 7,300 against the Cardinals here. I just don't think this Cardinals offense is very good. Springs, not a great pitcher, but he has shown flashes of upside where he can have strikeouts. You got some really high strikeout bats in this lineup against left-handed pitching. You got Nootbaar, you got Contreras, you got Sagasi, Gorman, Pajes, Victor Scott, all at 25% or higher over the last 30 days against left-handed pitching. So Jeffrey Springs, I don't think is the worst play as a pivot off of guys like Nola, off of guys like Bergert in that mid 7K range. So I like him as a pivot. And then the other guy I will mention is, or the 2 other guys is Gomez and Quintana. Both of these are gross clicks, but Quintana has put together a pretty good season. I get it. It's a tough matchup against Philly. But you look at the middle part of this Philly lineup. I mean, Schwarber, 31% K rate. Harper, 26% K rate. Real Muto, 35% K rate. Castellanos, 34% K rate. Bader, 32% K rate against left-handed pitching over the last 30 days. Quintana, I don't hate him at 7,100. And then Gomez, if Gomez can figure out how to get his damn control under board, I mean, he's got the strikeout stuff. And anytime you're have a slate like this with pitching as gross as it is, we just saw what freaking what's his face Davis Martin did to this Twins lineup yesterday. Now you get a better strikeout arm in a Gomez. If he can command his control, I would be interested to see if there's a pitcher's ump or a hitter's ump in that game that will help sway my decision a little bit. But anytime you got a 26% K rate pitcher at this price point against a Twins team that does strike out, I'll take my chances on a guy that has upside here. So Gomez is right there, like I said, in line with the rest of them in terms of K prop. Gomez's K prop is sitting at 4.5, basically as juice to the over, which is right there, the same as guys like George Kirby, guys like Will Warren, guys like Zebby Matthews, guys like Robbie Ray that are all going to be much higher owned. Gomez has got a 4.5 K prop juice to the over there. So Gomez is kind of my sleeper wild card guy in tournaments. I think is really interesting. Nobody's going to click that name. And he also pairs nice if you're flipping the build and you're going Gomez on the other side of Zebby. Maybe play some White Sox bats against the Zebby chalk there. A red hot offense there. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying pitching's pretty gross. It's a kind of a spread it out slate, to be honest, for me on the pitching aspect. Gomez is a nice tournament option. I think Will Warren in tournaments is really good. And then I'm on board with Berger, Zebby, and Kirby as well. I am slightly worried about George Kirby, though, like I talked about. You just saw Brian Wu get lit up yesterday by this Rays team. The weather's much better here today, mid-80s with wind blowing out here in this field. So as the highest price guy with a limited strikeout ceiling in general, I am slightly worried, and that's why I'm kind of living more in that mid-tier and lower tier of pitcher, to be honest, here tonight. Let's jump over and talk bats here. Gyiraszin, any additional takes while I'm pulling up the stone?
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing. There are 3 games that are marked yellow by Kevin Roth for rain. I mean, that's Atlanta, Chicago, Angels, Royals, and then the A's, St. Louis. So all of them look like they got some rain potential to where it could be a delay. So what you don't want is the start for 2, 3 inning, 4 innings, and then your pitcher get yanked. So I get a little concerned sometimes, but it's yellow, it's not orange. So there's just a slight concern. It just looks like there's some pop-up storms around in them 3 games. So just something to keep your eye on. I mean, it's always keep your eye on the weather, but yeah, you just never know. We've seen it once or twice this year to where we had some games in similar situation where all of a sudden they PPD'd on us. And, if you're not paying attention, you get stuck. But hey, that's what our Discord's great for. That is for damn sure.
Yeah, we'll be in the Discord. We'll tag everyone. I will say it's less likely for a PPD this late in the season, right, with just limited games and limited travel and things like that. So that does go for us. Seems like all of those should late start it. If they late start it, you should be fine there. But monitor that leading up to lock. First game on the slate here. We are going to Tampa. We got Seattle. We got the Rays. We got Seattle, who's probably going to command some ownership. I think we're a little light here. People see Adrian Hauser. They see this ballpark here. They're probably going to go to Seattle. I think they're a decent stack overall. That Rays bullpen is good behind Adrian Hauser. You got this Rays offense that nobody's going to play in this weather against a guy like George Kirby, who, has strikeout upside. But again, I mean, you look at his strikeout metrics the last 30 days against the right side, 21%. He's allowed some fly balls. I mean, guys like Caminero, guys like Brandon Lau. I think some of these guys for the Rays as a leverage off of George Kirby makes some sense. But what do you see here, Rays and Mariners?
Yeah, I don't want to pick on Hauser. I respect Hauser a little bit enough to not really want to be fooling with any of these Seattle guys. I mean, you could always play Kyle Riley. I mean, Hauser does have low strikeout capability. He's just got high ground ball lean, 57% to the right side. He doesn't really get the ball too high up. He doesn't allow the ball to get up in the air. So I'm not really a fan of Seattle. Tampa, I mean, you like the park, everything else. I don't think you get enough leverage off Kirby for me to really want to play a Tampa team, even though Chandler Simpson's been spectacular here in recent times, been stealing bags, getting on base, doing all kinds of good fantasy goodness for us. But I don't like either of these two. I'd have them ranked pretty low. I mean, we only got 16 teams. I'd probably have them, even below 10 on both of them. I don't really love either one of them.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I'd prefer picking a side, probably going to the Rays side, to be honest. Just because if you are going to get some ownership discount, it's going to be on the Rays side. You're going to get a little double leverage off of George Kirby there. But yeah, I don't love either side of this game overall. I think, like I said, I think the Seattle side is going to get played some. So Seattle are fine. I don't love it personally. Let's jump to the next game here, a game that I do like. I like the Royals here tonight. I think the Royals are an interesting pivot directly off of Coors Field. Caden Donna and that terrible Angels bullpen going to be going here tonight. Royals been sneakily one of the better teams as of late. Bobby Witt, obviously great play there. Temperatures not great here. Hitting environment not great in Kauffman Stadium, wind blown in, but that's kind of always the case. It's not a great home run park in general, but you should be able to score runs overall. I like the top half of this lineup. Miguel Garcia, Salvi, Vinny P, Bobby Witt, Yastrzemski, Caglione even at 2,300. These guys are cheap overall, and I think not many people are going to play them. What do you see here, Royals and the Angels?
All right, I don't want y'all to fall off your chairs or nothing. I don't want any. I know I've been saying all year, I'm fuck the Royals, right? Well, this time, I think the Royals. This is a day for the Royals to be truthful, Nades. I think the Royals are a pretty good play. I mean, you mentioned the guys up there at the top. You got Yastrzemski, Bobby Witt, Vinny been hitting the ball. I even like Miguel Garcia. So I don't mind. It's just the bottom half of this lineup sucks. But this Caden Dana, I was looking into it, and I was kind of laughing. Dude's got a 6 ERAs, 18 AAA starts. He's just barely above major league average for strikeouts. He walks like 12 to 13% of either side of the plate. I mean, the Angel bullpen sucks. So if he's that bad where he had to start all year with as bad as his team pitching staff's been, he must really suck. Like, this dude is not good, man. So I think the Royals could really get to this guy. So we got the worst bullpen. I love picking on the Angels bullpen. I mean, it's just bad. So I think it's a good spot. I mean, it lines up perfectly. I think the Royals are at the top of that lineup. I think you could play them. I like everybody up to, maybe I could stomach playing Adam Frazier. I don't think I want to play Caglione, Macy, or Isabel. I think I'd probably sit out on that one. But, all the other top five all have ISOs over almost 340 and above, or WOBAs 340 and above against right-handed pitching. So this guy is not very good. So I think the Royals are definitely in play. On the other side of this one here, you got Burgert. I think Burgert, he's just to me, I think he's going to be fairly chalky. So, we know the Angels do have some power. So if you don't like Burgert, I wouldn't be against you playing some Angels in this spot either. Maybe you could even game stack it if you wanted to, but we got a game total sitting at 9. It's one of the higher game totals across the board, other than that Coors Field game. So, I don't mind it at all. I think you could definitely play both sides, but man, you're going to get some pretty good leverage off playing against Burgert if you wanted to go that way. Because now that I think about it, Nades, Burgert is going to be the highest owned pitcher, I think, on DraftKings. So he may even be on FanDuel. I think Zebby Matthews may be on FanDuel, but we'll see what happens there. But Burgert is going to get chalked up. So, I don't mind some Angels, to be truthful. They definitely got some power. We already talked about the fly balls he gives up. So, I think I really like the leverage, even though I like Burgert. But I think just when you talk about the strategy side of DFS, I think it lines up. It totally lines up. Fly ball pitcher against team that can hit. Sure, they strike out, but I think the matchup is definitely interesting on both sides.
Yeah, no, I will hit. My favorite Angels bat would be Moncada. Burgert, he gets tagged up by lefties, so I would focus on the lefties. Only issue is the Angels don't have many. Moncada hits the build there, power, fly balls, everything. So Moncada, not only that, he's a direct pivot off of Casey Schmidt from the Giants at the exact same position there. A fraction of the ownership. Casey Schmidt's going to be 40% owned. Moncada's going to be 5% owned there. So I'll take my chances there. I think Moncada in your Giant stacks, leaving out a guy like Casey Schmidt, plugging in Moncada at the third base position and not going Chapman, not going Casey Schmidt. I think that's a way you can get different there. I'm not saying Chapman's going to get ejected here tonight. I'm just playing the game theory approach against the chalkiest pitcher on the slate, pivoting off the chalkiest stack on the slate. You double leverage the roster construction there. So I think Mike Petta is a pretty good play. Rengifo, if you need some value. Cavadas, if you need some value. Stone minimum left side. Has some power, can hit the ball out. Those would be the three main guys I look at from the Angels. I still much side with the Burger side of this. He is my favorite pitcher on the slate, even at the ownership. I'm not worried about that, but Royals top the list there. They're probably my second or third favorite stack on the slate overall. Next game,
This
we're going
to
yeah, Gyiraszin junk the Royals stack. Hey, it's you got to take the slate for what it is, and offense is pretty gross. That's why Coors is going to probably see even higher ownership than what we've seen the last 2 days, which is pretty crazy to see when we're seeing 50% owned hitters on 9 and 10 game slates. I think that's going to be even higher today. So we'll see what it comes in at. Let's jump to Wrigley. The wind is kind of shifting here. I have the Wrigley Stadium app on my phone. It's crazy. It's called like Wrigley Winds, and it gives you lifetime updates of the wind, which obviously we know the wind is a huge dictator in this ballpark here. I think the Cubs are fairly interesting here. The wind's kind of slightly blowing out in Wrigley. It's a decent amount of wind, but again, the temperatures aren't great, so it kind of mitigates the effect a little bit here. You saw this game pop off somewhat last night. I think the Cubs are fairly interesting here against the Braves and Bryce Elder. I just don't think Bryce Elder's any good. You want lefties mainly against Bryce Elder overall. Historically has given up low Ks, some more power, and some fly balls to the left side. So guys like Michael Busch, PCA, Ian Happ, who hit a bomb last night, Kyle Tucker. Overall, I think is pretty interesting. Tucker's probably not going to be in this lineup here until tonight. He did get hurt. I think he fractured something yesterday in that game. So does hurt the stack. Yeah, does hurt the stack overall. But still, some of these lefties, guys like Ian Happ has a nice price point. PCA, Michael Busch, mainly the lefties are focused on. Probably more of a mini stack as like a leverage. But yeah, overall, okay game, I think, here in Wrigley. It's just gotta, again, then the nature of slate, you got to find spots that can try and contest with the Giants, what the Giants are expected to do in Coors Field against German Marquez. What do you see here in Wrigley?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind this one. Elder is, he's more of a ground ball pitcher. He's 46.5 to the left side, 55, a little over 54.5 to the right side. But in the last month, he's been giving up way more fly balls to the left side. He's up at almost 30% to the left side here. And, the thing with the Cubs is, other than we get like the Brewers who pound the ball into the ground and put the ball in play all the time. Well, I mean, this Cub team hits the ball in the air quite a bit. I mean, they only got one guy that's below 24%. Everybody else is, as high as like 40, almost 39% for Busch. Yeah, we like some Busch. So, Suzuki, Happ, PCA. All these guys get the ball in the air, so I don't mind it. I think it's a good stack that I think is going to be lower owned. I think the Cubs could keep up with somebody like the Giants and Yankees today, who I think are the two stacks that are going to probably be the higher owned stacks. But that's why I think the Royals. I think you can pair up the Royals with like the Giants and be a little bit different today. That's why I think, and you can fill in some decent spots with like the Royals. So but the Cubbies here are definitely a team you should keep them playing. I just don't love the park. The weather isn't the greatest there. Elder does have little ground ball lean, but the Cubbies definitely get the job done. They got the bats and the fly ball ability to do it.
And the Atlanta bullpen, third worst bullpen in baseball in terms of xFIP over the last month as well, which does help the case for the Cubbies there if they jump on Bryce Elder early. In terms of bullpen usage, they used 3 arms yesterday, 3 arms on Monday, which is pretty standard. Not too taxed. Most guys should be available besides Breba, I think. But again, he's not very good in general, 1.64 whip. So you'd wish he was the 35-year-old journeyman was available here. But overall, Cubs pretty interesting overall. Not much interest myself on the Braves side. Cade Horton, I think, is a decent play overall. Next spot on the slate, the Twins and the White Sox. Gomez, I talked about him a little bit just because he's going to be unowned, has a ton of strikeout upside. His K-prop, Vegas tends to agree there, sitting at 4.5, juice to the over here against the Twins. You needed the White Sox to ship pretty much anything last night. It was White Sox combined with a mini stack of the Giants. You needed the 5 Sox. It helps when a guy like Benintendi hits 2 home runs. This dude's numbers in target field are ridiculous. Look him up. This guy loves playing in Minnesota. So, I mean, overall, 2 shitty bullpens here. Twins bullpen really got tagged up yesterday in general. I mean, I think this is a pretty good game to go right back to the well overall here. You look at the Twins bullpen. I mean, Davis threw 33 yesterday. You got Krisky who threw 27. They threw Thomas Hatch out there for a ton just because they have nobody left on this bullpen overall. White Sox been murdering the ball right now. Obviously, not the greatest matchup against Zebby, but again, direct leverage right off of Zebby too. I think the Twins is the preferred side overall. Mainly the lefties there against Gomez, but I like full stacking against a guy that has a walk issue. He walked 6 Yankees last week in his last start. What do you see here? Twins, White Sox.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there with Gomez. Dude's got a 15% walk rate to righties, 13% to lefties. He's not keeping the ball on the ground. It's getting up in the air. He's got 32% to lefty fly ball, 36 fly ball percentage to the righties, and he's getting barreled up at almost 14% to lefties, 13% to righties. We know the bullpen behind him isn't good. I don't mind. Buxton's been absolutely smoking the ball here in recent times. So I like the Twins here in this spot. And then, I mean, shit, you're sitting there looking at the White Sox and what they've been doing here in these times. I mean, I think Zebby Matthews is also going to be another guy that's going to get some leverage or some ownership. So you can get some leverage there off the White Sox. I don't love it, but it's definitely there. So I'd rather play Zebby Matthews, but I think, if you go against Burgert and you go against Zebby Matthews, I think there's some leverage to be had on both of those sides. I don't, like I said, it's just not one of my favorites. I mean, you got to understand that you're going to have to, I think the Yankees and Giants are the power stacks today. So you're going to have to keep up with them too. Marquez absolutely sucks. And so is that bullpen out there. So I got to believe too, after yesterday's shenanigans in that game, they may have woken up the Giants a little bit. You shake that up a little bit. And I'm sure Rafael Devers, he seems like the type, his mouth probably hasn't shut up since, it's been going on. So, it could turn into another shit fest where they could be beaning each other again. And we could see some pitchers get tossed. And if Marquez gets tossed, that'd be even more funny. But I mean, I think that's what we got to keep up with here tonight. So, I mean, I don't mind this game. I think this game could see potentially like the Twins keep up with it. But, I mean, I don't love it. It's kind of cold there. It's only 60 degrees. Wind's blowing out a little bit, 9 miles an hour. I mean, it's just not warming up. But, man, that White Sox pitching staff, this is not good. And I think it's, with his walk issues and everything else, I really think the Twins are in a good spot.
Yeah, I like the Twins quite a bit. I'm right back on the well. They were hurtful last night. I'm going right back to it. Guys like Matt Wallner, Trevor Larnach, Keyshaw, Buxton, Royce Lewis, Brooks Lee. I like all those guys a lot. You got Julian in there too if you want to punt off second base position with him. I think that's interesting. And then the lefties for the White Sox. Going right back to the lefties here. You look at Zebby over the last month. I get it. I like Zebby. I like him as a play. He's right there with Burgert as 2 of my favorite pitchers on the slate, just like everyone else. You look at him over the last month, he's very, very good against righties. He drops off against lefties, 20 below average strikeout rate, ISO numbers of 315 with a fly ball rate approaching 30%, pretty equal to what his ground ball rate is to the left side. Guys like Colson Montgomery, Brooks Baldwin, Kyle Teal, who hit a bomb last night, Talkman, Benintendi. The White Sox lefties have been hitting the ball really well. He struggles with the lefty power and fly ball. So I think Kyle Teal, Colson Montgomery are really, really 2 really good plays on this slate. Nobody's going to play them. So if you're not playing a Zebby, maybe you pivot to like a Cade Horton for $300 more than Zebby. You throw in 2 of those lefty bats or 3 of those lefty bats from the White Sox. Then you play the Giants. You're instantly different right there. So little things like that. But yeah, I definitely have the Twins bats is one of my favorite stacks on the slate. And then those lefties for the White Sox are pretty intriguing to me. I'm probably going to lay off the righties here, but I like the lefties quite a bit. Next spot on slate, Brewers and the Phillies. Aaron Nola on the mound. Brewers, Jose Quintana on the mound. Phillies, not going to get much ownership. Brewers not going to get much ownership here, despite the total sitting pretty good overall on the slate. One of the better ones on the slate in general. What do you see here? Any interest in this game from a hitting perspective?
Nah, I mean, I do like playing some Phillies sometimes against the lefty. I just don't want to pick on Quintana. He's just not a guy that really gets hit too hard. But I mean, if this was a poor lefty, I mean, Schwarber, we know Schwarber and Harper can hit the shit, and so can Castellanos. So I really like the Phillies a lot of times against lefties. I just don't think this is a spot. And I'm not going to pick on Aaron Nola either. As I said, he's got more of a ground ball type lean. And Brewers, they definitely hit the ball into the ground quite a bit. So, yeah, I just don't think this is a spot in this game here for any kind of upside.
I think the lefties for yeah, okay. I think the lefties for the Brewers, Terang being a really, really elite one-off, I think. He's just murdering right-handed pitching right now. Nola does struggle with lefties. So Terang, Yelich, I think, Blake Perkins, Frelick, those four guys in particular, I think. Pick 2 or 3 of them, make a little mini stack there. I think that's an interesting way to go. I'm not playing any of the righties overall, but I do think Price Terang is a really, really good one-off. Direct pivots at those similar price points to some of those Giants bats as well, which I do like. So lefties for me for the Brewers. Not really getting to the Phillies much on the slate. Another game next that I don't really like much, despite 2 pitchers that aren't overall very good. Athletics and the Cardinals here. Liberatore has been a ground ball guy, but he's been really, really bad over the last month. He started the season pretty solid. Hasn't been the case over the last 30 days. The A's got absolutely demolished yesterday by Mikolas, which was very hurtful to see. In general, I had some really good teams with 5 A's that could have made some runs overall. Liberatore over the last month, tons of power given up to both sides of the plate, tons of fly balls, not a lot of ground balls, tons of hard hit, tons of barrels, 12% barrel rate to both sides of the plate. I mean, Colby Thomas, Langeliers, Hernandez, Schienelman, Brent Rooker. I mean, all of these guys have been pretty good against left-handed pitching. What do you see here overall, A's and the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think I'd like the A's a little bit more of a mini type stack against Liberatore. You're right, too. I mean, Liberatore's not been very good the last handful of starts out in the last month. He's been getting barreled up quite a bit by both sides of the plate. His WOBA is almost 489 to the left side, and a 360 to the right side. I mean, he's just been getting smashed. He's been walking guys. I mean, he just hasn't been his normal self. But I mean, the A's projected lineup is going to be pretty much predominantly right-handed. So, I mean, I really only like the top half, really, the Langeliers, Wilson, Rooker. I mean, they're going to be itching to put Kurtz in there. I mean, so at some point, I think you're going to see some pinch hit. But I don't love St. Louis either, that park. But I think the A's, maybe you could just power hunt here. Maybe look, like I said, Rooker, Langeliers. Maybe you could look at Jacob Wilson if you wanted to go there. But yeah, Colby Thomas got a really good fly ball percentage. She's like at 42% against lefty. So, I mean, maybe you could look there. I don't know. I just don't love it. I mean, we got an 8-game slate, so that's why I'd keep it in the pool. But I'd just pretty much stay at the top. That bottom half of that lineup's kind of ugly.
Yeah, I would say there's a pretty high probability that Soderstrom, Butler, Kurtz all come into this game if the game is remotely close. Once Liberatore gets hit out of this game, I haven't looked at the usage in terms of lefties in the pen for St. Louis here. Let me just see. I don't think, so righty, he'll be available today. I don't think they have many lefties available in that pen overall. Don't quote me on that. But I will say there's some pinch hit concerns for guys like McIlvain at the back half, Brett Harris, even guys like Colby Thomas probably. But again, Colby Thomas hits a home run in his first 2 at-bats at 3,500. That does enough. So Thomas, Jacob Wilson, Brent Rooker, Langeliers, I think make some sense overall. More power hunting 2-3-man stacks for the A's, not 5-man stacking them. Overall, no Cardinals interest for me. Brings us to the last 2 games, the 2 most important games on the slate. This is my favorite stack on the slate coming from this next game. I don't think Jason Alexander is very good. That Houston bullpen's been slipping as well. Framber got tattooed yesterday, so they used 3 arms yesterday that all threw over 20 pitches, 23, 31, 20. The top half of this bullpen is very, very gassed overall. And Jason Alexander gets tagged up versus lefties. He's pretty good against the righties. I want to play the lefties anyways. I want to play the Yankees against right-handed pitching. Yankees going to be very, very low owned today in general because if people are spending these salaries, they're going to Coors Field in the next game. Give me the Yankees as my top overall offense on the slate. I put them up there with the Royals and the Twins ahead of the Giants in general for myself. What do you see here, Yankees and the Astros?
Yeah, I swear we didn't talk pre-show either. I mean, I was like, I don't even know. Maybe the Yankees are a hot take today, but I mean, yeah, you're right. Alexander has been just terrible against lefty. He's got a 370 WOBA against lefty so far this year. He's been getting barreled up quite a bit here so far the last 30 days. His ground ball percentages haven't been very good. I mean, we know the Yankees got a ton of power and fly balls in that lineup on the left side. Grisham, Ben Rice, Bellinger, Jazz, Wells, McMahon. I'm willing to play all these guys. I think the only guy I probably wouldn't play in this whole Yankee lineup is probably Volpe. But, I mean, you could even stack it up and leave Judge off your Yankee stack and still feel pretty good about it. And I think you got some definite, potential for some power. I mean, you were talking about, I think they do have, one, maybe two left. Let's see, they got 2-3 lefties here, 4 Hader. Then I won't use him till late. So, I mean, they got a couple lefties. So, I mean, Rice, we'll have to see what Stanton is if he ends up. I didn't see if it was projected or if it's been confirmed yet. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not as worried about the pinch hit risk as I was a little bit earlier. But, yeah, I mean, Alexander is not good. I definitely like the lefties here. I mean, I like all of the lefties in the Yankee lineup.
Yeah, give me all the lefties. Yankees lefties are my top stack on the board. I have them ahead of the Giants. Like I said, I like the Yankees a lot. I like the Twins a lot. I like the Royals a lot. Those are kind of my 3 favorite stacks. And then we're going to talk about the next game. Obviously, I like one of the sides of the game for sure. No Astros interest really for me against Will Warren. I just don't like it. The Yankees bullpen's pretty solid. I just don't like this Astros offense in general. Jesus Sanchez would be the guy I'd pick out if picking any of them. Takes us to the last game of the slate, the Rockies and the Giants. The Rockies all the way around. Robbie Ray is going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. The Giants are going to be mega chalk in every contest you play. MME, they're probably going to be around 30% each. In single entry, small field, smaller field stuff, 1,000 entries below, 500 entries below. I won't be surprised to see some of these guys at 50, 60% owned. Due to the nature of the slate, due to how shitty the pitching is in general, due how the pricing, everything works out. DraftKings just decided, hey, we're not going to price up Coors Field anymore. In general, we're getting lazy. Football is our main priority. So you see the Giants here. Devers has hit 67 home runs in the last four weeks. His price hasn't moved at all. Talk to me. Giants and the Rockies, Ray chalk, Giants chalk. I know chalk doesn't matter a ton in baseball when it's getting into a shorter slate, like an 8-game slate, with a slate like we have right now. I mean, it's hard to argue against it, but again, I mean, it's pretty gross in general. I think I'm going to take my chances and be underweight on the Giants and go to some of the other teams we talked about. But what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, like yesterday you were talking about the ownership, and I was just wanting to double check and look here. But I was just thinking, like, dude, the top 4 of that Giants lineup was all 50% owned in the tournaments I was in. But then, Mato sitting there in the 6 hole yesterday was 8% owned. It was just like, so all you had to do is include one of them, and if he had a good game, it would have been a total. You would have just flipped it. You would have been sitting pretty. So, and then when 2 of the 50%ers got tossed yesterday, in the first inning, it just kind of ruined it all. But man, we already know Marquez is just shit. He's cheeks, man. That dude sucks. Below 16% strikeouts to both sides. I mean, he's got a 400 WOBA to the left side, a 370 to the right side. He's getting barreled up by both sides. Fly balls more to the left side than the right side. I mean, Devers for sure is a lock. I think Devers is a guy that could hit nuke 2 bombs. The dude's been hitting. He's like seeing the ball. It's got to be this big to that guy right now. I mean, when he smoked that ball yesterday, he smoked it. There was no doubt. You didn't even need to see where that ball went. So, he is definitely locked in right now. And I think the little extra festivities there, that could either go 2 ways. It could either help a team get totally locked. It brings them all together. Hey, we stuck up for our boys, blah, 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 screw them, blah, blah, blah. Or it could turn into another, let's carry it over in today. And if somebody gets beamed early, now I'm going to be sitting there thinking, shit, they beamed Devers. Devers is going to run his mouth. So, I mean, we could see what ends up happening. Will calmer heads prevail? But I could easily see Devers, if one goes flying by his ear hole, that dude ain't going to be quiet. I can tell you that right now. That's a guaranteed. So, yeah, I mean, but Devers to me is the best play in the slate by far. I mean, I think Devers is a great pick. I mean, I didn't look at his home run odds. It's probably not very good, but I mean, I think you could definitely look at him. Now, if you wanted to go on the other side, I think power hunting against Robbie Ray isn't the worst of ideas to be, in this spot. So I think Doyle's not a bad pick. Beck, Goodman. I think you could use these guys. We know what kind of pitcher Robbie Ray is. So, I mean, he's a fly ball pitcher. Now he's in Coors Field. And if he's going to get some mid-level ownership, then I kind of have some interest in some Rockies too. So I think the Rockies are definitely interested in like a low-owned type stack. Yeah, I mean, the Giants are going to be heavily owned. I would consider making sure you include some of the, 6-on-down hitters in your stack if you want to go there, because, I mean, like I said, the top 3 are going to definitely be high owned. I'm not quite sure about Dominic Smith sitting there in the 4th spot, but Chapman will probably be pretty high owned too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, the chalk pairing is going to be Robbie Ray with Zebby and 5 Giants because of the back half. You got Patrick Bailey coming off the home run yesterday. You got Matos in there. You got Casey Schmidt. You got Dom Smith. And then you got guys at the top, right? Jung-Hoo Lee going to bat lead off probably 4,100. I mean, it's just overall too cheap. It's too easy to play it. I would definitely include the guys at the back half of the lineup, or like I said, leave off a guy like Casey Schmidt and pivot to a guy like I talked about earlier at the same position, right, at a third base position, like Moncada at the exact same price there for $200 cheaper, same position, things like that. I do have a lot more interest overall as a leverage game theory standpoint here on the other side of this game against Robbie Ray. Like I said, it's just too easy to 5-stack the Giants and play Robbie Ray. They correlate together, right? Overall, should give them the win bonus if the 5-stack is doing their thing. But guys like Kyle Farmer, Beck, Goodman, Doyle, Gyiraszin, they all hit the ball in the air. Robbie Ray is a fly ball guy, especially against righties over the last month, sitting at upwards of 30% fly ball with a hard hit rate of 68%, a barrel rate of 12% to righties. I mean, I'll take my chances, especially a guy like Hunter Goodman. I think Hunter Goodman's probably one of the best plays on the entire slate. This dude's had a 22% barrel rate against left-handed pitching over the last month with tons of fly balls, tons of power. So I like the middle part of that Rockies lineup. Actually, I mean, Freeman, Tovar, Goodman, Beck, Doyle, Farmer, Gyiraszin are kind of the main guys I'm looking at there. I think the Rockies are really intriguing in small field stuff, tournaments. I think it's very, very interesting to be over on the Rockies. You look at the Giants bullpen, slipped a little bit as of late there, pretty taxed as well, especially on the top half of that bullpen there. So you could see some fireworks here. I think the Rockies in tournaments are really interesting overall. That's all, 8 games we talked about on the slate. Any final talks? Go ahead and round it out like we always do in the last 6 minutes or so here with your favorite pitchers, your favorite top 3 stacks. Give 2 overall stacks and then a sneakier stack, if you will. Same thing with the pitcher, your 2 overall favorites, a sneakier guy, and then a home run call before we get out.
Yeah, I like Bergert and Matthews with Will Warren and Nola being the pivots. That's pretty much where I think I would live. And then the stacks, we're on the same path. Giants, Yankees, I think are right there. But I think you got to make sure you look at the Twins and the White Sox, and then look at the Royals too. I mean, yes, I actually do like the Royals a little bit today, but I mean, it's just the kind of slate it is. And I mean, that Dana pitchers is not very good. So I think the Royals definitely in play. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to have a Royals mixed in one of my 2 teams today over on FanDuel. But yeah, I think, a couple low-owned ways you could go. As you mentioned, the Rockies, I think, are an interesting way to look. We already talked about the White Sox a little bit too. So I think that's another way. And as far as a couple homers that we could look at, I think, for me, it's too easy to be calling guys over there in Coors Field. So I think I am going to go with Jazz Chisholm. They had a home run for the Spankies. And then I'm going to go, we'll go Brent Rooker to hit one off Lipitor.
All right, I like that. For me, my pitchers, I'm going Bergert and Zebby are my two favorite guys there. And then The pivots that I talked about, I think Cade Horton is an interesting pivot in the top tier there. So I'll say those guys. Kirby would be the fourth guy there. For me, top offense on the slate for myself is going to be the Yankees. I like the Yankees a lot. Twins are going to be number 2. I really like the Twins. I like the Royals. And then as the kind of sneakier stack, I think the Rockies are pretty interesting to me here. On the other side of the Ray Chalk, my home run calls, I'm going right back to the Rockies. On the other side of that rabbit Ray Chalk, give me Hunter Goodman, 5K. On the other side of the most popular stack on the slate, he's going to be sub 5% owned. I think he takes Robbie Ray deep tonight at home in Coors Field. And then I'm going to my Brew Crew against Aaron Nola, who I think gets steamed up leading up to lock in on our guy D-Gen. Little steam. I'm going to be moonwalking his ass backwards with Bryce Terang home run, second base, 4,400. Terang red hot right now. Nola been struggling since he's returned back from the IL against left-handed hitters. Terang, give me the hot hand at a weak second base position. Direct pivot right there as well off of guys like Casey Schmidt for the Giants as well. That's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Gyiraszin has got to get his way over to the lanes. Throw some 300 games hopefully here tonight. Hopefully he's staring at a 300-point score on his MLB FanDuel lineup because he'll be counting his Benjamins in his old pocket after that. But again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back again on Friday. The boys will be back tomorrow with the Thursday night football breakdown. No MLB shows on NFL night. So Monday, Thursday, we will not have MLB shows. The other 3 days of the week, we will. We'll be back on Friday. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll see you guys on Friday. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. We're out here. Peace.